Welcome into the Wednesday episode of the David Hookstead Show. We got some fun stuff we're going to talk about today. I'm really excited to get into it. First and foremost, right off the bat, we're going to be talking about Osama Bin Laden. Yes, Osama Bin Laden, the deceased former Al-Qaeda terrorist leader who took a few shots to the head in his little compound in Pakistan, courtesy of SEAL Team 6. I've interviewed Rob O'Neill a couple times about that. You can watch those interviews over at YouTube, Daily Caller, Twitter, wherever you like getting your stuff. But remember, when we smoked Bin Laden in Abbottabad, they pulled a bunch of documents from that compound. It's called sensitive site exploitation. I believe the short term for it is SSE. Rob O'Neill talks about that in the interview. And those documents have now been essentially all read through, translated, et cetera, et cetera. And 60 Minutes did an interview with someone about those documents. She read them all. She broke them down. The biggest thing I took away from it was Osama bin Laden did not expect the United States to go to war after 9/11, which makes him possibly the dumbest motherfucker to ever live. If you think you can knock down two towers in New York, hit the Pentagon with a hijacked plane, and then a plane gets put down in a field in Pennsylvania because the passengers heroically rose up, you think you can kill thousands of Americans and all we're going to do is lob a couple cruise missiles at you from halfway across the world? You got another thing coming, my friend. It really goes to show just how detached from reality these terrorists are, that they truly think that they can kill thousands of Americans and we're not going to do anything about it. They think they can come into this country and knock our buildings down and strike fear in the heart of the homeland, and we're not going to go over there and fuck their world up. You got another thing coming. It's truly mind-boggling to me that Bin Laden thought the United States of America, the red, white, and blue, would just sit there and take it as thousands of our fellow citizens were killed, as people were killed in the Pentagon, as people were killed on the hijacked airplanes. Give me a break. That is pure delusion. And it goes to show that we ain't exactly dealing with geniuses and Mensa candidates over. We're not dealing with people who understand how the United States of America works. You know, one of the things Bin Laden allegedly wrote about in these letters, these documents, was how the Vietnam protest became a major problem during the Vietnam War. And he thought the American public would rise up and protest a war against Al-Qaeda and the Taliban and all that stuff in the Middle East. So far from the truth, so unbelievably far from the truth. Now, I'm not saying that the wars in Iraq, and of course, Iraq was not a part of 9/11 whatsoever, but I'm not saying the wars in Iraq, Afghanistan went perfectly. Obviously, we know they did not. What I am saying is if you think you can hit the United States and kill our people, and we're not going to come find you, we're not going to come chase you anywhere across the globe, you're an idiot. You're an absolute moron. And another thing that kind of shocked me from these revelations is not only did we dismantle Al-Qaeda, we dismantled Al-Qaeda to a point where it was essentially broke. The terror network was broke. And in these documents, it shows at one point they only had $200,000, which you can't do shit with $200,000 when it comes to international affairs, terror, war, and stuff like that. So we brought a jackhammer. We brought a jackhammer to a fist fight, and we caved in the heads and skulls of our enemies. And that's the reality of the situation. Bin Laden thinking that we weren't going to do anything to him is so stunningly dumb. I just can't believe it. And I want to bring up this point too. I heard this in an interview with one of the guys that was there at the raid. I'm not going to say his name because he likes to fly under the radar. Bin Laden was on the third floor of the compound in Pakistan, okay? It took roughly-ish 4.5 minutes to get up there. The SEALs encountered gunfire getting their way up. They killed his son. They killed other people in the compound who tried to fight, didn't immediately surrender. Bin Laden had every opportunity to get in the fight. Osama bin Laden, this guy who had sent countless suicide bombers to their death, had sent countless Arabs to their death, who spoke about rising up and fighting America. When it came time for him to shine, when it came time for the big dog himself to get in the fight, he cowered in a bedroom. He hid like a little bitch. He had an AK-47 in the room with him that he never even loaded, wasn't even flipped off safety. He could have picked up that rifle at any time and tried to get in the fight like he had sent countless other individuals to do. But when it came time for him to man up and face American forces, man on man, he couldn't do it. He died like a sniveling dog. He died like a coward. And the reality of the situation is we should talk about that nonstop because it exposes who these cowardly terrorist leaders are. They're not action heroes. They're not tough dudes. They want to send other people to fight their battles. And when those Navy SEALs kicked in the front door to his compound, he just sat there and waited. He just sat there and hid. He made no attempt to get in the fight. So fuck him and fuck everyone else that thinks that they can come here and kill Americans and we're not going to do anything about it. He was a coward. He was a sniveling dog, and he died like essentially what he was, an absolute bitch. So you know what? I would have more respect for the man if he picked up that AK-47 and at least attempted to make a last stand. At least then I would say, you know what? He was a true believer in what he went down for, but he didn't. He hid in a bedroom. He hid in a bedroom like a scared little baby. And we blew his fucking head apart. So you know what? Good riddance, Bin Laden. You're not missed. You weren't very smart. And for you to think that we weren't going to come blow your world up after 9/11 makes you one of the dumbest people to ever live. All right, next. Baker Mayfield. The Browns cannot find a trade partner for Baker Mayfield at all. The Seahawks apparently don't want him. The Panthers at most have lukewarm interest in him. We're talking about a guy that won the Heisman, former first overall pick, and they cannot find a team to trade for him. It is incredibly embarrassing for Mayfield and the Browns to some degree, because remember, the Browns thought this guy was going to be a star, and they can't even get anyone to trade for him. I don't know where Baker Mayfield's going to end up, but I know this. If Baker Mayfield did a little less talking and did a little more opining, if you will, about what he thinks and how he feels he's been disrespected, and just focused on winning and getting better, his outlook in the NFL would probably be a hell of a lot better. But it's not, because he runs his mouth. He comes with a ton of off-field distractions. He comes with a ton of baggage. And now they can't find anyone to take him. They cannot find anyone to take a guy that was a first overall pick just a few years ago. You know, if you believe this guy has some potential, trade a third rounder for him. You know, he's not that expensive for a starting quarterback. I think he's owed about $18.5 million this upcoming year. That's nothing crazy. So trade a third rounder for him. But of course they can't, because no one wants him. No one thinks he's actually any good. And that's why we are where we are. Finally, the Detroit Lions. So the NFL draft starts tomorrow on Thursday. The Detroit Lions hold the second and the 32nd overall pick. I'm a huge Lions fan. I literally have a Lions helmet right off camera here. The Lions got to draft Matt Corral. They just have to do it. Now, I'm not going to say take him at number 2. That's way too high. But we have the 32nd pick. We could even jump up a little bit if we needed to. Matt Corral, in my mind, is going to turn out to be the best quarterback in this draft. The upside is there. He is athletic. He has a great arm. He can make all the throws you want him to. Yes, I know he was hurt in the bowl game. That doesn't bother me one bit. We know Jared Goff is not going to lead the Lions anywhere, okay? Jared Goff is not taking the Lions to the Super Bowl. Let's just have a real conversation about that. That ain't going to happen. That is not going to happen. So if you know it's not going to happen, we got to go get a replacement. Now, maybe they say this is a weak quarterback draft class. We're going to get a replacement next year. I don't know. But I like Matt Corral a lot. I'd even take Sam Howell if he's there at 32 and Corral's already gone. But we need to draft a quarterback. It's that simple. Jared Goff is not going to get the job done. We have a coach who's going to be in year 2 of a rebuild. Let's go out there and shake things up. You don't have to play him right away. We got Goff anyways for the time being. And Goff is at least going to be a steady QB. He won't do much. Sit him on the bench for a year. Let him develop. Let him heal up. And then in 2023, let's have an actual open QB competition. And let's think about getting a new guy on the field. Anyways, that's all we have for the Wednesday episode of the David Hookstead Show. I will see you all here Thursday for the last one of the week.